evening. I am being told that our visitors, the Odyssey of Mind from School 18, has a special word for shh. And you know what that word is? Yell it out. Rainbow. So, for the council's knowledge in the future, should we disagree on some items and I feel it's contentious, if you hear me yell rainbow, you know that is to work together. So I would ask our Odyssey of the Mind students to please stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Was that beautiful? Let's give them a round of applause. Very, very nice. I would ask Mara to continue with the roll, please.
Councilmember Belli.
Present.
Councilmember,
Garrett.
What a mistake here. No, I just need to add you, sorry. Old thing. Councilmember Parator.
Here.
Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember December.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Present.
Council President Mantello.
Here.
7 present, 0 absent.
Beautiful. We're going to go right into the good news. I would ask my fellow colleagues to join me.
Is this in the way, Jamie?
All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is by far our favorite part of the council meeting. And, okay, the reason being is because we get to recognize. I thought it was okay. All right. This is our favorite portion because we get to recognize some really, really special people here in the city of Troy and the Capital Region who contribute so much to the city of Troy. And for tonight's good news, we'd like to welcome up our very, very special visitors from School 18, City of Troy, Odyssey of the Mind. Come on up, students. I would ask principal and the 2 coaches, please. So come here. Yeah. So cool. These are some really special people, folks. I'm just going to read a couple things. And, you know, I was doing a search earlier and I saw that you have a GoFundMe page. So make sure that you plug that GoFundMe page for your championship round. But on Saturday, March 9th, 8 teams from Troy City School District competed in the Region 4 Odyssey of the Mind tournament at Coxsackie Athens High School. 2 teams in front of us will advance to the state tournament, did advance actually to the state tournament in Binghamton this past March. For the 3rd year in a row, the team from School 18, which is right across from my house, took first place in their division and will be going to the state final tournament. Let's give them a round of applause. The world, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. So, all right, fast forward, okay? We just wanted to make sure that they were all on their toes. All right, so saying that, they won the states and now they are going to the World Championship. And I did have your GoFundMe page for folks to donate. But saying that, what is Odyssey of the Mind, some folks would say? It's an international educational program that hosts competitions in which student teams are judged on their unique solutions to problems, as well as their teamwork, creativity, and many other attributes. In March, as I mentioned, they won the state tournament in Binghamton. They're competing in the World Finals, which will be held May 22nd to May 25th at Michigan State University. It's a big deal, folks. And I am now, before we fully congratulate these special people, I want to introduce these incredible folks in front of me. So take it away.
Your name.
I'm Dawson Farah.
Well, hand it down.
I'm Finn Fraunhofer. And I'm May Dunbar. I'm Kaylee Kessler. I'm Ryan Maloney. I'm Georgia Dunbar.
I'm Elaine McGurk, and I'm one of the coaches. Jessica Maloney, one of the coaches.
And the principal.
Hello, a very proud principal, Virginia Don Vito McPhee. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And please, if the coaches could first speak, then the principal, and then we want to hear from you guys, because you're most important.
What's entailed, just for folks out there, and what does it take to really be a member of the Odyssey Mind team?
Well, we began back in, we have our first meeting.
If you can
We started in October, and we practiced weekly. And for Odyssey of the Mind, the kids have to have a totally kid-driven program. The kids have to think of the ideas for the script. They have to write the script. They have to complete all components of the script. They have to do the building of the sets. They have to do pretty much everything. Costumes, yes.
It's really fun to be on Odyssey. You get to make new friends from different places, and you have to be really creative, and it challenges the mind, so it's really fun. You make a performance, and they give you a problem, and you have to not solve it, but in your performance, kind of solve it. And also, Odyssey of the Mind is my favorite after school activity, obviously. And
There you go.
and it is you get a problem, so you can either have kind of a more of a building problem, or problems in between, or a performance problem. And then there's also spontaneous, which is a secret problem that no one can know what you get, because they use it farther on in so you can only tell the spontaneous problems in May. So I just read all that. It's really fun to do all the spontaneous and the performance, all the levels of work, regionals, state, and worlds. Yeah, it's fun going after school and then creating a script and costumes and building stuff that you pick the problem on. So you're solving your own problem.
Pretty cool. Council.
Good stuff.
You know what? I think the city council could use these 6 votes, okay? We have a dog park issue. We have, okay. Saying that, I'd love to hear from the principal.
Well, what is most important here, I think, is the fact that we have students who are in grades 3, 4, and 5 who can actually have to apply and show their dedication to being members of Odyssey, and then their families and our coaches. They work together for months and months and months. And the beauty of this whole thing is that they work so hard and use their minds literally to show everyone that they are capable of, at such a young age, to solve many problems. So with that, they collaborate, they are dedicated, they work tirelessly, and they've shown us that when they do all of those things and respect each other and work hard, they can accomplish so much. And we're proud that this is the first time a team of Troy has ever gone to the Worlds. So I say the qualities that they are showing in the citizenship qualities that they have, they represent Troy, School 18, the city, and the school district very, very well, obviously themselves and their parents too. So whenever children can show us adults how to do it the right way, they deserve a round of applause. So thank you for recognizing.
I don't think anything else needs to be said. We, as the city council, are so incredibly proud of you. We wish you all the luck in the world in Michigan. We hope that you come back with a trophy, but even if you don't, we are so incredibly proud. These are future leaders of our city, of our state, and maybe our country, right here in Troy. So let's give them a round of applause. And just lastly, on behalf of the city council, if the moms and dads could raise their hand. We would love to thank you for your commitment to really afford your children this opportunity. We know with moms and dads, the commitment our parents put in, whether you played sports, whether you were in activities, after school activities, intramurals, you name it, it's really because of you. So let's give your parents a round of applause. Thank you very, very much. And one more round, and let's go get them. Oh, and one last thing. This teacher over here has schooled Madison Vandenberg. Do we know who Madison is? American Idol, the top 6. We could have a Madison Vandenberg here, okay? Or a Sawyer Frederick. Very quickly, how do you feel teaching Madison? And you got to be in the mood.
I don't think she would even remember me.
I'm sure she would.
I don't think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, Troy School 18, Odyssey of the Mind.
We're going to get a picture, if you could, hold. Okay, you can hold Lauren. There's Finn and Dawson. Awesome. Laura is going to take a quick picture right here.
All right, take a picture out here, guys.
Here, let's
Thank you.
get in tight. Oh, no, you don't have to join us.
Come on now.
Slide over. Here, let's hold for Finn.
All right, everybody looks smart.
All right, everybody say
You know?
rainbow. Awesome, thank you so much. One more round.
No, I was not.
Yeah, sure.
You don't mind? You put it more in the middle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Check. Okay, now, if folks want to move up, you're welcome to move up. Couple housekeeping items before we get into the agenda. And before we get into the public forum, the council has unanimously, say that 5 times, the council discussed one of the tabled items on the agenda. And obviously, all of us have received letters, messages, Facebook posts, you name it, regarding designating Troy as a sanctuary city. It's Resolution 113. It was tabled, if you recall, back in December, stating that there's been some discussion. Is it going to be untabled this evening? Is it going to be discussed? We have all spoken, and at this moment and at this meeting, the resolution does not plan to be untabled. There will not be a vote this evening on Sanctuary City. I've discussed this with your sponsor, Councilmember December, co-sponsor Councilmember Cummings, regarding the resolution, and there is not going to be a motion to untable. However, the resolution is technically on the agenda. So saying that, if folks want to speak, we would ask that if you do want to speak in favor or opposition, you're fine and free to do that. And as council president, I'm certainly in favor of allowing that. Stating that, we would just ask, because it's not going to be voted on tonight, that you please, just out of respect for everyone, keep comments as limited as possible so we can get through the agenda and hopefully get Councilmember Gully and his wife Barb to have dinner for their 40th anniversary this evening. Congratulations, Councilmember Gully and Barb.
Council President,
Councilmember Parator.
could I just ask for the record, how many minutes each person is allotted?
Yeah, normally, for agenda items, it's 5. And we would just ask that in this respect, because it's not being voted on tonight, but we want to afford people and, listen, this is a public meeting, and I encourage and I love, whether you're in opposition or whatever, we love people physically coming down to City Hall and council chambers to speak. So we love it. I would ask that you keep it to about 2.5 minutes, okay? And don't worry, there's hopefully going to be more public neighborhood meetings and things to that nature as we move forward. So stating that, let's go right into the public forum section. And yes, I apologize.
I'll just note,
Councilmember Cummings.
there's a banner in the front for folks who can't see that says
Yeah.
"Say No to the New Jim Crow," a reference to a long era of segregation. I just ask, there are some folks who can't see right behind it. You have about a foot at the bottom, so you could lower it just about a
Yeah,
foot. And that way
if
folks
you
can
could
see.
put it maybe at the knees, just so folks can see. Okay, Councilmember Kennedy, yes.
Councilmember Cummings, can you just state the relevance or the connection between the
Sure.
Jim Crow to the sanctuary city issue?
I assume it has, there's certainly folks here wearing sanctuary shirts, speaking about Jim Crow, and I think I suppose they can probably speak to why in their forum, but from my perspective, certainly I see a parallel in the degree to which there is a new kind of segregation happening where from every level, from the president on down, there's a desire to see, or a desire to make a new subclass of residents here in the country who have less rights than other citizens.
I was curious also, thank you, Councilmember Kennedy, and just for everyone's knowledge, and I believe we're all in agreement. I truly believe that Troy is a very welcoming and inclusive city, and I think all of us can agree on that. So let's open it up to the public forum, and I would ask for, if you are speaking on any of the tabled items, not just the sanctuary, I would just ask that you keep it to about 2.5 minutes. For everyone else on the items that will be voted on, I would ask that you keep it to 5 minutes. And that's in the rules. So stating that, please come up, name and address, and let us know what's on your mind about the agenda. Thank you. Okay, we're going to close the first public.
Wait a
hearing.
second, there was a
Okay.
list, don't you?
Okay.
There's a list.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone.
There was a list in the back.
I didn't know if you were calling names.
No, we don't call names here. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Sekelic. I live at 48 4th Street. I'd like to urge the City Council, without any further delay, to pick up the sanctuary resolution from the table and adopt it today. Thank you.
Could I have your name and address? I'm so sorry.
I already gave it. Yeah, maybe if
Your
we
name.
called the names that were on the list, you might not be asking me for
Sir, I
it.
did not know that there was a list in the back. That's what I'm
As
trying to
said,
tell
every
you.
council meeting, I assume as president of the council, you're aware.
No,
Thank
we
you.
don't, we do not require a list. That's what I'm telling you. We allow people to freely come up.
Well, great.
Okay.
Well, there's plenty of people here who want to speak. Without further delay.
Mara, are you gonna call the names on the
Now,
list?
if you could hand it to me, please. Matthew?
Oh, I didn't know you were gonna call names now.
It's fine, please.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, I'm Diane Deallard. I live at 261 Pauling Avenue. I understand that you do want to make this a very welcoming committee, a welcoming town for the sanctuary city, although I am against it for numerous reasons, which I'm not going to get into right now. But my big question is, you want to make it, like you said, Troy is very welcoming. And yet, there's a farm within our community, very good, hardworking citizens that are not allowed to go into the Troy Farmers Market. I feel that's unfair. And because of something their father said to somebody in Troy a couple decades ago. So anyway, I think it's time to let Engelkey Farms into the Troy Farmers Market.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I honestly, I don't use a list, so please come up and speak.
Hi, my name is Siegfried Boyd Isidro Gladys. I reside at 32 First Street, Apartment 2. I'm here to talk in support of the Sanctuary City resolution. I believe that we've garnered enough support to vote on it. I hope that the council would vote in support of it, but I believe that it's about time that we come to vote on it and just bring this to pass and codify it. I think it's just about time we just put this to rest. And I think we have enough support from the community. We've gone out and spoken to everyone. A lot of me and people here with the Sanctuary City campaign have talked to people in the community, and a lot of people seem to support the sanctuary resolution. So that's all really I have to say.
Thank you, Siegfried, thank you. Hi there.
Hi, my name's Adam Pelche. I reside at 27 New Turnpike Road, Turnpike Road, Representative Gully's district. I'm here to speak in support of untabling the resolution and actually having a vote by the city council. I may not be the biggest expert in parliamentary procedure, but as far as I know, in order to get a vote on the item, it would just take a motion from any one of the majority standing before me to have that happen. I do not see a parliamentary reason why this could not be untabled and actually voted upon. So I would urge any of the members who are standing before me or who I'm standing before to put forward a motion to untable the resolution and to actually vote on it. That's what I would urge. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Hi.
Hi, my name is Ivy Hest. I live at 501 Broadway, and I live here with my spouse and also my in-laws and my grandparents-in-law and my niece and nephew, and my whole family is here, and we're building a life here. And I'm speaking here in support of untabling and passing with flying colors the sanctuary bill. People have come here meeting and meeting again to talk about why it's so important. What I just want to share is that, I'm Jewish, and given the recent shooting, it brought home to me how I am going about my day doing my life, and somebody can pull that out from under me at any moment, and I have to rely on my community to protect me. And so, to me, this sanctuary bill is a call for you all to stand up, to have the courage to protect those who live here, who are just going about their lives and want to live full lives and can't because they live in fear. And I feel that fear now myself, and can only imagine what it's like for years and years and years for these people who come here undocumented and just want to live. So thank you.
Thank you. Hi there.
Hello, my name is Richard Ring. I live in Lansingburg. I have two things to mention. One is I'm very pleased to see my new city council representative, Representative Garrett, here. I was here at the last meeting when she was introduced. I was very pleased to see the community organizations she represented, and I've had the chance to speak with her since that time on the phone, and was thrilled that she is my representative. And very much along those lines, I hope that she or another member of the majority will untable this resolution, as is still possible at this meeting, and make Troy a safer and more welcoming place for immigrants. This is not a new issue. I'm sure you're tired of hearing from me. I'm tired of coming here. It's been going on for years and a half, and we've had hundreds of people speak, of course, on both sides, and sometimes with emotion. But there's really no question that of the many hundreds of people who spoke, a vast majority spoke in favor of this resolution. We cannot meet with the mayor. We have become to this meeting because this is the meeting that is available to the public, that is organized to support Troy immigrants and to support this resolution. Please untable it and pass it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Hi, my name is Sean Collins. I live at 300 3rd Street. I am the Vice President of the Troy Area Labor Council, which several years ago passed a resolution unanimously in support of Troy being declared a sanctuary city. I'm here incredibly disappointed that the city council majority is not untabling this resolution. I understand that there is discussion, deliberation, that the mayor is considering executive action and executive order on this. And that's great. That's fantastic news. But this is also a question for you, an independent branch of the government in Troy, elected to to act on issues brought before the council, and to delay this on the likelihood or the potentiality that the mayor is going to do something is not, it doesn't make any sense. It's passing the buck. You have the votes, the support. You've gone door to door in parts of Troy and South Troy, talked to many residents, knocked on over 450 doors, knocked on, Councilmember Kennedy's next door neighbor. You want to know who his next door neighbor stands on this question? Support the sanctuary. And so I don't understand why we're kicking this till next month. This was brought up not just last year, it was brought up last summer, where a member of this community, a member of this campaign, was assaulted outside of City Hall, and no one on the city council said anything about that. Assaulted by someone who was opposed to it. And so when we talk about how this, how obviously Councilmember Garrett was not on the council, so that's not on you. But I'm just speaking generally that these issues have been percolating, and this discussion, this debate has been percolating in this community for years now. And to wait next month is too late. It's time to act now. Let the mayor do what he's going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Would anyone else like to speak? Hi there.
Hi. Oh, hi. My name is David Banks. I reside at 46 Bell Avenue. I'm also speaking in support of untabling the sanctuary resolution and voting on it and passing it. I'd just like to speak briefly to the point that Troy's a welcoming place. I would like to remind everyone in 2008 when Councilmember McGrath, who's no longer former Councilmember McGrath, led an effort to shut down the Sanctuary for Independent Media because they hosted an Iraqi artist and used bogus code violations to shut it down, and the city got sued for $50,000 for a civil rights violation. So that's a pretty clear instance where the city wasn't exactly welcoming. I could also bring up what Sean just mentioned a minute ago about being assaulted for this exact issue. And so I think it's laughable to sort of brush this off as we're welcoming, so it's the implication being that we don't even really need this or something. I think that's patronizing. So I think we deserve this. We need it. You're an independent branch. Deferring to the mayor's office seems like an abdication of your authority and your responsibility on this really critical moral issue. And you just pass it.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Nathan Meltz. I live at Sauce Avenue and 15th Street. I want to thank everyone here for their service. I know you're all leaders of your communities. That's why you are here. And that's why we really need you to step up and be leaders on this untabling and passing of the Sanctuary City Resolution. We as citizens are relying on you. People have canvassed and advocated and have keep coming here. And just to let you know, until this thing happens where you're not reacting, and that's what we're really relying on you, just to please stop reacting and please start acting. Please start taking action, because all of us here are going to keep coming. I'll be totally honest. I work a full-time, I teach at RPI. My wife does too. We take turns. One of us comes here. The other one stays home with our child who's at school 14, who's Odyssey also. They didn't get to nationals, but my wife and I take turns, and we always come, and we will keep coming, and everyone here will also keep coming. I'm sure we are a pain in the butt, so please, we are relying on your leadership to step forward, so we can move forward with other business. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Rafael Varela. I am a resident of Troy since 2003. I came to RPI and I stay around. I obviously have a heavy accent. I wasn't born and raised here, and I can tell you from my experience that this city has a very, very heavy, horrible culture in all the official departments, from City Hall to the police department to code enforcement. And this culture, it is not welcoming to foreigners. It is absolutely not. You're still today, if you call on the phone, the city, to ask for a garbage can, for a recycling can, for anything, the first thing they ask you is for your address, and they don't treat everybody the same, and this is something that is about time. It has changed. It has gotten way, way, way better from the times 12 years ago when they would just scream at you here in City Hall, in the old City Hall, and would tell you to come back with a lawyer just for asking a question and things like that. And passing this resolution would do a lot to show that you, as the government, want to change this culture and want everybody to be treated the same. Because this city, the public officials of this city don't treat everybody the same. It's not the same if you come here, you're white with a suit and without an accent. And that's the first thing when you call the city over the phone. They don't treat everybody the same. They want to know where you live, and they want to screen you before they give you an answer. The answer should be the same for everybody. What does it matter where you live or who you are? It shouldn't be they give you a new garbage can if you live in this street or in that street, or if you are this person or that person. This is about, we are in what year we are now, 2019. This should not be acceptable. And you will change that culture by saying, we pass this resolution and everybody has to be welcome. Thank you.
Raphael, thank you. Hi there.
Hello, hello.
Hi there.
Jerry Ford, resident at 313 2nd Street. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
All right, good. So recently, shooting on the campus, North Carolina. Carolinas, I'm not sure, North or South Carolina, college campus. Shooting in California at the synagogue. Shooting in Pittsburgh at the synagogue also. Churches being burnt in Louisiana. Not too long ago, somebody walked into the church in Carolina also, killed 9 worshipers while they were having Bible study. None of them were illegal immigrants.
That's right.
We got bigger fish to fry. Let's get this resolved so we can address the things that we really need to be addressing. This shouldn't be lingering so long. What's the issue? There's a lot bigger fish to fry. Love over hate.
Thank you, Jerry. Would anyone else? Hi.
Good evening. My name is Siobhan Burke. I live at 2333 15th Street, 2nd floor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you also, Reverend Ford, for speaking to how simple a thing this should have been. And we really do have bigger fish to fry. Ice Free Capital District and the Troy Sanctuary Campaign are working every day to provide direct aid to immigrants in our community. And although I believe deeply that this resolution is a very important and necessary step forward for Troy, and that is why we will indeed continue to come back every month if we have to. Every minute that I spend here is a minute that I am not coordinating transportation for people who cannot legally drive. It's a minute that we are not fundraising for people who are legally prevented from working. It's a minute that we could be spending building solidarity in our communities instead of asking you to do the very basic minimum. And I'm deeply disappointed tonight to hear that you're not moving forward with this. And I ask you to reconsider. I ask you to move tonight, because if Mayor Madden wants to issue an executive order, that's fantastic. But we haven't seen that language. The language that your constituents are here supporting has been public for half a year. That is what people want you to act on now. And we'll take the mayor on when he's ready to go public and step forward with this. But you have a duty to act tonight. Please do.
And just so folks are aware, per our charter, New York State, the governor has different executive powers. Here in the city of Troy, the charter does not allow the mayor through executive authority to designate Troy as a sanctuary city. So I just want you to know that. Would anyone else like to speak?
Not a lawyer.
Hi, my name is Delilah. I live at 730 Griswold Heights. You guys all heard my story last council meeting. I'm just here to really ask you guys to untable this because this means a lot to me. My children are born in Troy, raised in Troy. I am still, my green card is pending. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I would like to feel safe that my community stands behind me and whatever happens that you guys are going to fight for me to stay here with my children. You know, I don't want to feel like I'm alone and, you know, at any second I could be ripped away from them again. So I just really, really urge you guys to untable it and vote on it tonight.
Please tell your story again briefly because some of us might not have heard it.
Okay, on May 27th, this is now going on almost a year. So on May 27th of last year, I was arrested for doing a rolling stop through a stop sign in Troy when the police officer ran my license, which I do previously have a license, but because I'm undocumented, my license did not show up. He took me to the precinct. He proceeded to call ICE agents about 8 times to figure out what was going on. He didn't really get any feedback. He kept calling until they finally decided that they were going to issue a warrant for my arrest. I was held in Troy precinct overnight, and then I was moved to Albany County Jail by ICE agents, and then I was detained and moved to Batavia, New York, which is up near Buffalo, Rochester. My 2 children, who are now 10 and 12, were left with an aunt-in-law for some time, and then my mother had to come up from South Carolina and care for my children. My children, especially my son, who has special needs, has never been away from me more than 3 days. He was away from me for 2.5 months while I was detained. So, like I said, at that time, I really did just feel really alone. And a lot of people who are here tonight and some people on the panel really stood with me and came out and supported me. And that meant everything to me. And it gave me faith in humanity. And so I just think that Troy is a welcoming city. I think it is. I think there is amazing people here. I think I don't want to leave this town, so I want you guys to just prove that to me. I know it already. So just prove it to me and everyone else, because we're here. We're not leaving. We don't want to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is David French. I live at 37 Brookview. And I hear a lot of stories here about sanctuary city status. But why do we need to go to sanctuary city status when there are other means for immigrants to come to the city, come to our country? It's a privilege that citizens of this country allow citizens of other countries to come to our country. Why do we need to create a sanctuary status for that to happen? So I'm kind of mixed. I don't think we need to go sanctuary status when there's other means for people to come here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Hi there.
Hi, my name is Dylan Reese. I live at 12 Linden Avenue. Delilah's story is a story that is shared by many other immigrants in the region. We are in a position of, Rensselaer County is a place of potentially especially aggressive immigration enforcement due to the position of Sheriff Russo and our county's participation in the 287G program that deputizes the county sheriff's office for federal immigration enforcement. That especially places the onus on the city to act in support of the immigrants that live within the city. And I think that's an issue that's not always addressed in this discourse. And Rensselaer County is the only county in the state that participates in that program. So that I also want to say that I attended in the East Side neighborhood a public meeting that was facilitated by council members Buscember and Cummings, where we heard a lot of public comments from members of my neighborhood, and we saw overwhelmingly strong support for sanctuary city status for Troy. So I think the people of Troy have spoken, and we should untable and vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else? Yes. Yeah, you're fine.
My name is Eric Schofield. I live at 495 Pauling Ave. I think it's outrageous that we're still wasting our time on the sanctuary city issue. People that come here as legal immigrants, I mean, I don't want to point any names out, but people are getting arrested for welfare fraud. Yeah. So that's the kind of people we want in this city. Undocumented immigrants. There's a legal way to get here. There's a right way to do it. You know what? Come here. It's going to take a while. We can't process everybody at the same time. It's going to take a minute. We can't just snap our fingers and have an influx of people. We don't know if they're vaccinated. We don't know if they're criminals. It's ridiculous.
Okay, just so
I was talking there, buddy. Where are you from, Albany?
Eric, please.
So I think that tabling this and bringing it up to a vote to people of the city would be the fair way to do it. And then if the city speaks and they pass it, then that's the fair way. I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be shoved down our throats by the Democratic-run council.
Thank you, Mayor.
Democratically elected.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the council? Hi there.
How you doing? I'm Joe Halloran, River Street in Troy. This is not about the sanctuary stuff. This is a small topic compared to what else you got going on here.
On the agenda?
It is on the agenda, though.
thank
Yes.
you. Okay, thank you.
I live on River Street, but I also own a house on 15th Street. And you guys are about to take away 2107 15th Street from a woman who happens to be my neighbor. And I knew her father from the past. Now, he was a asphalt guy. He was a paver. He worked at a company for 30 years. He did what he was supposed to do. He did it the hard way. He bought his house on a mortgage payment, paid it off little by little by little. And now his daughter owns the property. And I think if we can hire outside plumbers to do plumbing work for us, and we can hire outside engineers to do engineering work for us, then why can't we hire a real estate agent to help this woman out, sell her house?
The property back though, Joe. Do you?
No, I don't understand. I see there's a little confusion.
No,
we say what we want to before the meeting starts. So
Yeah, no, we're actually giving it back to the woman. Go ahead, Councilmember.
So, I actually got a chance to visit this building earlier this week, and yeah, it's been under foreclosure for a while. It also then was under bankruptcy. The court has ordered that during that process of bankruptcy, she has the right to her house. And so we are in this ordinance, we are reconveying it back to the owner, and with an agreement that they pay the back taxes.
that's great. I appreciate that.
No, you scare me. I'm like,
But-
wait a minute.
Well,
It's okay.
since I have 30 seconds left, do I have 30 seconds left?
Absolutely, yeah.
When you guys do this with these buildings, you create a vulture mentality. Before the building even goes up onto the foreclosure list, the vultures start flying around. We don't even know where they come from. You know, I can be late on taxes. I have people calling me, sending me things in the mail, da-da-da. I don't quite get the way we're going with this vulture mentality, because I mean, I understand business is business, but when the big business people come in with their big buildings and they start pulling strings to make things happen, it's a slippery slope. So be careful how many strings are getting pulled.
Thank
From
you,
who?
Joe. Thank you for coming down, and hopefully it works out. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, I just want to make sure, okay. Public forum section is closed.
Council President, can I ask a point of clarification? So do we have to wait to address the issue of why we're not acting on this tonight? When is the appropriate moment?
Councilmember Cummings would like to just let folks know what was discussed prior.
I think that is way more important than, I'm thrilled that we honored the Odyssey of the Mind children. And I know Odyssey of the Mind is wonderful, but this is an important issue. And I think we need to know, I need it explained, because I wanted to vote on this tonight. I need it, and I know.
Still can.
But there's a reason why I'm not. And I think my friend and council colleague, Anasha or David, can better explain why we are not going to vote on it tonight, but we are going to vote on it definitely at the June meeting.
Yeah, thank you. So my goals for this from the beginning have been twofold. The first and to me most important goal is to make sure that the city of Troy is first of all in compliance with relevant case law and not violating the rights of our residents, and also to make sure that we are not actively collaborating with immigration enforcement on the deportation of immigrants who have not committed a crime in our community. And so those primary goals are goals that we continue to work with the police department and the mayor on. We had hoped that we would come to a resolution by this May meeting. Unfortunately, as noted, the mayor is not here right now, but we do continue to work with him and do plan on voting in the next month. That being said, the second goal is a moral one, right? We know that the president and some of his supporters have been engaged in a campaign to marginalize immigrants in our communities and to make voters afraid of them. And that's maybe a political tactic, maybe a short-sighted economic development strategy. I don't really know. But the truth is that the vast majority of immigrants, regardless of their status, are a tremendous benefit to our communities. And to some of the questions posed by folks who are in opposition, I think there was sort of a question of why it's necessary. We have a process for folks to come here. And that is true, there is a process, but I think most people recognize that process has failed. There has been efforts towards national immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform, going back decades. And Congress continues to not act on that. And what that's left is a situation where we do have at least 10 million, could be significantly more, immigrants in an unstable situation. And it's many people who have lived here for many years, sometimes most of their life, who are, in all intents and purposes, members of our community. And we have created, through Congress's inaction and inability to create some common sense solutions like a path to citizenship, we have created a situation where in our communities, we have these subclasses of folks who live currently without the right to get a driver's license, currently without the right to work on the books in many cases. And so those situations make it much harder for folks who would otherwise be even more productive members of our community. And so those are certainly challenges that we face at the national level. And so it is important to me that we as a city make a clear statement that the folks who are here, we are fully welcoming. And more than that, we recognize that immigrants, regardless of status, are pretty much our neighbors and likely to be contributing. So that being said, those statements continue to be true, and those goals continue to be true. And unfortunately, right now, I feel the need to put that moral victory off yet another month in the service of the legal victory of making sure that we as a city are not violating rights or actively collaborating.
Does that answer your question, Councilmember Perritor?
The way I understand it is that further conversations need to happen between the mayor of the city and the police force. Because the police force is going, our police officers are going to be on the ground day to day with this. So for us to vote this in without respecting our police force's voice in this, if we can, I have been promised that this is just definitely one more month because I have been actively asking about this. I've been promised that we are going to vote on it at the June meeting. Is that correct, my Democratic colleagues? And since I have the microphone, I'm going to say something. I've been fairly quiet on this. I suffer from clinical depression, and I basically have been not fully alive for the past year. I'm back again. And I need to say that I stepped forward to run for office. I have lived a life of service in the trenches and also on boards, the library trustee, the YWC, blah, blah. I stepped forward because I was horrified by what I saw happening in my country. And unfortunately, I didn't really understand that at the city council level, the majority of conversations seemed to be about garbage fees and potholes. And this is the first time in my tenure as a city council person. This is the first thing I have cared about. We live in a country where the president of our country has made the word immigrant a dirty word. It's egregious, it's horrible. I grew up in Troy, I was born and raised in Troy. And after a 28-year marriage, moved back here by choice 10 years ago to finish raising my children and bought a house here. And I have deep roots in this community and a long family history of roots in this community. We are the home of Uncle Sam, which is the iconic symbol of patriotism in our country. Just hold on to that for a moment. What could be more patriotic for we Trojans than to say, your life is as important as mine? My grandparents came through as immigrants through Ellis Island from the potato famine. They didn't have to go through 3 years of agony and paperwork. The immigrants coming to our country now, do we realize they're fleeing and coming here to get away from dire poverty and abuse and criminality, and they are coming here and they want a chance. They want to work. I am thrilled that Troy is going through a renaissance. And I have a lot of Manhattan friends who all of a sudden have heard of Troy. It's like the blah, blah, blah. It was called the New Brooklyn. And I know a lot of people are proud that Troy is known for its architecture and its brownstones and its restaurants. We are like the cool restaurant capital of the world all of a sudden. I'm proud of that, but not as proud as I would be if we followed the suit of so many other cities in this country and said we are a sanctuary city. That would make me proud, and that's the vote that I will be proud of to make. I will no longer be sitting here as of December 31st. So if I don't get to vote on anything else, this is the vote that I care about. And I know that because I trust my colleagues that just a couple of more conversations need to happen, and we are going to vote on it at the June meeting.
Yes, Councilmember Garrett.
I'm listening to everybody's, seems like, I don't know, I can talk loud though. No. I'm listening to everybody's statements and I'm like so appalled, like, so, okay, we're waiting for the police officers to make a decision on something where we can't even figure out if the police officer is like anybody that looks like me. So I'm sorry. I know the views of the sanctuary city. This is over breaking news to me. But what I do know is that it is not right that we are sitting here in 2019 and we're still trying to figure out if it's okay to be comfortable in your own skin. And it is very saddening because I have 3 sons who is going to be always have a target on their back because they're going to be black men. So for me to sit here and listen to everybody go back and forth about what's right about people being able to be here, that's cruel. Like how can we as people sit here and be okay with that? Like you don't have to agree with somebody, but it's okay to agree to disagree. And we're sitting here making decisions on people's lives, like their livelihoods. And I'm the only one that is African American sitting at this table. So I'm the only one who understands when somebody's being treated unfairly and when somebody is treated like there's somebody's like scum beneath their shoes. And then right now in 2019, it's a different kind of racism that's happening, and it's mind-boggling that people is okay with that. Like it's a systematic thing that's going on, and we're sitting here worried about if it's okay for somebody to be here and we tabling stuff and trying to figure out the rights for people. Like who? Nobody did not make nobody God. We are not God in here. But what I do know is when June comes, because realistically speaking, whether it's untabled tonight, if you don't have a majority of people to vote on it, there's nothing that can take place. So I'm saying that in the sense of, I can say, yeah, let's untable it, but if I don't have enough people to agree with me on that, then it's not going to take place, right? So we're sitting here making this decision that it's not fair. And I'm a huge believer in God, and I feel like my purpose and this panel is to be as neutral as possible, but then to make sure I make these 8 months or whatever amount of months that's left of me being at this table to also make my presence known, and that's for me and anybody else of a minority complexion, color, creed, or whatever you want to call it, because it is scarce out here when you have us sitting here worried about if it's okay for somebody to be here in 2019. This is stuff that should have been resolution, like decided years ago. Like we should not be trying to figure this out. We should not be trying to figure this out. I personally know what it feels like to feel like you're in a box or a bubble and people will make you feel like you can't be who you are. I deal with that every day at work. Every day at work when somebody look at me and think that I'm stupid because of my color or I'm dumb because of my color. Don't even know that what knowledge I have, but are scared to ask because they don't want me to be here. They want to keep me in a box. So all I know is this: when June 1st comes out, whether you agree with it or not, we need to make a vote. We need to make a vote because it's not fair that you got people's lives hanging in their hand. And another thing, if we're gonna be dealing with the police officers, worried about if the sanctuary city stuff is gonna pass, we need to worry about the police officers dealing with the Black community because that's a big issue. I'm not going for no like show or any kind of thing like that, but what I will say is that these 8 months, if you think that I'm gonna sit up here and take sides of you because, oh, maybe I like this person a little bit more, I like you, I love Jim, but I'm not gonna agree with everything Jim has to say. And I'm gonna tell you, that is because I live here and I have to pay taxes here just like the next person, and my children have to go to school here just like the next person. So please do not mistake my quietness or me just sitting here like, look, like I don't know what's going on because I'm listening, I'm taking everything in. And I feel like I'm in the room with children trying to fight over a damn Lego toy. Excuse my term. This don't make no sense. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilmember Garrett. Moving into the agenda, and I do want to welcome back my colleague, Councilmember Parator. So let's move into the agenda vacancy list. We should be receiving the vacancy list. Local laws none. Ordinance 27.
Ordinance declaring certain city-owned property as surplus and directing the comptroller to dispose of said property. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 27 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 28.
Ordinance amending the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 28 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
All right. Ordinance 29.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 water fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 29 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 30.
Ordinance authorizing and directing the reconveyance of 34 Centerview Drive. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 30 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 31.
Ordinance authorizing and directing the reconveyance of 2107 15th Street. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 31 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 32.
Amending City Code Chapter 39, Environmental Conservation Commission. Councilmember Kennedy.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Garrett. Discussion, just for folks out there, we're cleaning up some code within our code regarding the Environmental Commission. And do you plan, Councilmember Kennedy, to work with the admin? We'll get some appointments for that.
So
Yep,
to be
Councilmember
clear,
Cummings.
my understanding is we're amending it to change
Change
the appointment
statement.
to our appointment.
Correct.
And so certainly will.
Yeah, I'd like to
Be
move
looking for
forward.
members from the public interested in helping with environmental conservation in the city of Troy. In particular, this organization will help establish which properties in the city are important to conserve and help to advocate for and improve our ability to prevent pollution into our waterways as well.
Yes, and just for folks' knowledge, prior had the city manager. What I would just say, obviously, any commission has to work with the administration, so let's just make sure we do that. Beautiful. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 32 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 33.
Ordinance amending the 2016 general fund in order to appropriate additional funds that, I should say, 2019 general fund.
Yeah.
Ordinance amending the 2019 general fund in order to appropriate additional funds that will be received from the Capital Resources Corporation. Council President Mantello.
And just for the record, the ordinance is fine. It's just the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember December. Discussion. I just want to thank Councilmember Kennedy for really spearheading the effort to get the funding from the CRC and the additional funds for the neighborhood improvement program funding. Councilmember Gully, Councilmember Cummings were part of that, so thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 33 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 34.
Ordinance amending Troy City Code Chapter 83, Article 1, surplus city property. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
You know what, before I make the motion, I am going to ask for an amendment. The first being on page 4, if you scroll down, there was an oversight. I spoke to the deputy mayor earlier this evening. You will see on page 483.3 F. If you go into F, property sales methods, parcels of surplus real property obtained by the city via in-rem foreclosures. We are going to delete the foreclosures, interim foreclosures, and keep it consistent with surplus property. So it entails,
Obtained by.
correct. So it will read, bear with me, parcels of surplus real property may be sold and conveyed by the following methods. So we're gonna take out obtained by the city, or should we leave obtained by the city, Monica? Leave obtained by the city, take out via in rem foreclosures. So delete via in rem foreclosures. This will encompass all surplus, okay? And keep it consistent, yes.
I might suggest we, rather than obtained, have owned, or does that matter?
Keep
Some
obtained.
properties- my understanding is there are some properties that were not obtained that we may still want to dispose of through this process. Does that matter?
We
Sure,
can
obtained
always
is
come
not-
back. Let's keep it obtained for now,
Obtained is not-
and if we need be, let's keep it obtained from now. Okay, Mr. Caruso?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Councilmember Cummings,
in
should it be
particular,
obtained
for
or
example,
should it be owned?
If there's an alleyway that we're declaring surplus, that's not newly obtained by the city, but we should still have a process to
Should it be owned?
sell it.
It's a distinction without a difference, in my opinion.
We obtained it somehow.
Keep it obtained.
Leave it as it is.
All right,
Okay.
fair enough. We're going then, Mara, you have,
Council President?
yes,
Just as a point of
Councilmember.
inquiry, Monica is our acting mayor.
That's correct, that's correct.
What did you just
Well,
volunteer for?
no, it wouldn't be acting mayor, it basically would be mayor. It's just like when the governor isn't around, you call the lieutenant governor governor. So mayor, what do you think?
I'm sorry.
Obtained or
We're
owned?
tired. We want
No,
to.
you can leave it.
Leave it obtained. Okay, so that's the first amendment. Do I have a motion on that amendment? Motion, Councilmember December. Do I have a second? Councilmember Gully, on the discussion of the amendment. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so on the amendment. I have a second amendment, and I think my colleagues are going to like this. As you know, I put forward at the finance, the one that was tabled for the council to authorize the mayor to sign. I think I have a solution, which I hope that the council agrees with. What I would like to put in the real property is to have the mayor provide quarterly reports on reconveyances to the council. It's very simple. It's a quarterly report. We'll be able to get those reports quarterly on any reconveyance the mayor may sign. I'm sorry. Release. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to make that motion. Thank you, Councilmember Gully. Discussion.
Where is it gonna go?
Let's see, I would think if you look at the report, there was a spot where it was taken out, bear with me. Some reporting duties. Mayor, do you recall where that was? Remember, we took out the ones that weren't happening?
Sorry.
I'm really flipping it out, aren't I?
Council President?
Yes.
Hold on, let me look.
Is this not already covered in city?
It's
charter
not.
When we.
No, it
Yeah,
is.
This, Thank you. My question is, the full question is this, aren't we already empowered with being able to ask any city staff or department to furnish a report upon request in city code?
Right, I want it in the code for the mayor to quarterly report. Okay, Councilmember.
I think there is value in getting a quarterly report. I I would recommend, it looks like we can do it through the new section, let's see, page 13.
Yeah, that was just, yeah.
Consideration by the city
Yeah.
council.
Perfect.
If we can put the new language there.
Yep. So page 13, we will go to, you'll see, well, we can add number, actually, consideration by the city council is now E. We can put it after that paragraph, Mara, so.
So add an item 1 under that paragraph.
No, you're gonna wanna, it's gonna be, I'm sorry, Council President?
Yeah.
D, E, F, so probably a G.
G,
Yeah,
add
if you
G.
go to page 14 after
Yeah.
F and maybe add a separate line.
Okay, so we'll add paragraph G, and it will state the mayor shall quarterly, or the mayor shall provide quarterly reports to the councils, to the city council, regarding reverters.
Any release.
Any
Any
right.
releases.
Okay.
Say it one more time. The mayor shall provide quarterly reports to the city council regarding
Listing all
listing
All reverter releases.
signed.
all reverter releases
Oh, yeah, executed.
executed.
That's good. Very good.
Brainstorm.
Executed
This is collaboration.
within,
After the previous report.
since the previous.
Since the previous report.
Okay.
All right, so if you could read it back.
The mayor shall provide quarterly reports to the city council listing all reverter releases executed since the previous report. And that's paragraph G.
Okay. We have a motion, a second, further discussion. Think it works? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so on the amended ordinance, ordinance 34, the amended ordinance, do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Garrett, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator, on the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 34 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 37.
Ordinance authorizing and approving the filing of the City of Troy's application for funding pursuant to the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, the McKinney Act Emergency Shelter Grant Program, and the Home Investment Partnership Program, and designating the mayor as the authorized representative of the city for such purposes.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Parator, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 37 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 38.
Ordinance authorizing the allocation of neighborhood improvement project funds, Council President Mantello.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Garrett, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. On the discussion, I would like to give kudos to the committee, Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember Gully, Councilmember Cummings. They have worked, I want to say, probably a good 3-4 hours over the past week. I believe you followed up with several folks. So I also want to thank Mara, our city clerk. More importantly, we want to thank the volunteers out there and the groups who applied for these funds. I must tell you, as I stated in the finance, my 4th year here, and very, very impressive projects. Some are returning, some are really new. Pretty psyched, Councilmember Garrett, about the Community Leaders United. We have the 9/11 Memorial again up in the Berg, and there's just so many projects. Boys and Girls Club to the east side, to Troy Bike Rescue, Riverside Career Park, Vanderhyde and Pauling Park, Ingalls Ave, Stowe Hill, the list goes on. Team Hero, We just want to thank all of you for all the work that you do day in, day out, improving the quality of life in our neighborhoods. I truly believe that these grants domino into larger economic development projects, home ownership, and just people investing in our city, in our neighborhoods. And I think you guys have really, really done a just tremendous, outstanding job with this list. We received over $21,400 in requests. We're appropriating tonight $17,256 and a penny. We will have some money left over. Stay tuned. We'll come out with the next round for that. And I really, once again, want to thank my colleagues for their hard work with this, but more importantly, the incredible volunteers out there who really are making a difference in our neighborhoods. So thank you.
Council President?
Yes, council member.
I just want to add another thank you. I want to add another thank you. It is for Mayor Monica, and mainly for the other department heads who jumped in on such short notice to make sure that a lot of these projects that involve public property were able to move forward in a way that was aligned with the city's efforts. And I just want to point out, if you are interested in submitting another or an additional project application, I would encourage you to reach out to the appropriate department or the mayor's office. Well, you're supposed to reach out to the city clerk's office, but if it involves the streets or the public right of ways, there's a Bureau of Streets, I believe, that would be involved. And if it's on a public park, you would reach out to the Department of Parks and Recreation. But yeah, we do thank everybody. This is, the program is growing. It's evident that it's been successful, and we hope that it continues. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. And we do thank the departments for stepping up, Monica. One thing, there was a handicap swing down in Lansingburg. It broke. I know it is repaired now. Beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Councilmember Cummings.
Council President. So I also just want to echo the incredible depth and impressive scope of many of these projects. There's a process that some cities explore called participatory budgeting, where residents really get a say in where their dollars are spent. And I see this as somewhat of an experiment in terms of this is a way in which residents can say, this is a place in my neighborhood that needs a little attention. I'm willing to volunteer to spend some of my time and energy, organize some of my neighbors to help make it happen. And then we as a city are able to partner and help fund those projects so that they can improve the neighborhood for everyone around them. And so, again, just really want to thank everybody that put applications in. I think they continue to beautify our city and enrich our neighborhoods. And I do want to encourage anyone out there who isn't already involved with the Neighborhood Improvement Program project to take a look at the list that's in the back and look for some projects in your neighborhood, because most of these projects would love more volunteers, helping them plant flowers in their planter pots, helping them fix fences, helping them build new community gardens and all sorts of other projects. So take a look at that, and thank you all for everyone who's been involved.
Thank you.
Council President.
Councilmember
At the risk of sounding repetitive, I do want to just echo the statements of my colleagues. I know in District 5, I represent South Troy, the East Side, South Central Troy, and neighbors surrounding it. We have a lot of applicants in my district that have received these project dollars in the past. These small dollars go a long way to revitalizing our communities. And I am pleased to see some new applicants in my district that are there. I live very close to Park and Third. Team Hero, I'm looking forward to that work that you're going to do there. But broadly, I think these are really great projects. These dollars go a long way, so I'm going to look forward to supporting this resolution.
Awesome. Anyone else? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 38 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Or Resolution 28.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with GAR Associates LLC. Councilmember Cummings at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Garrett. Discussion. I will just reiterate what I mentioned at the prior finance meeting. I truly believe it's unfortunate that GAR was the only company to respond to our RFP. My take on this was I certainly and many other of my colleagues over the past 3 years, especially the prior council on both sides of the aisle, we're not happy with GAR's performance with the citywide assessment. We as taxpayers paid about $1 million, probably a little bit more than $1 million when it was all said and done for the citywide reassessment. While this particular contract is not regarding citywide assessment, it's regarding commercial permits, things to that nature, to assist our assessor. And code, seeing that I would have liked to have either seen the RFP go back out or do it in-house. I come from the background, if you're not happy with a contractor or you're not happy with a car and you feel it's a lemon, don't go back to that dealer. So I just, with GAR, I just cannot vote to hire them again. So that's just me, and I just wanted to state for the record. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Resolution 28 passes, 6 ayes and 1 no.
Resolution 30.
Resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the tactical team joint services agreement with the town of Colony. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 30 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 32.
Resolution confirming Richard Mark Nolan Jr.'s appointment as a member of the Troy Industrial Development Authority. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember December. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 32 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 33.
Resolution confirming Colleen Parator's appointment as a member of the Troy Industrial Development Authority. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? I'll just reiterate, just for folks who weren't at the finance, this has absolutely nothing to do with my colleague, Councilmember Parator. She will do an outstanding job on the IDA. Just so folks are aware, under the charter, the IDA appointments are recommended by the mayor, confirmed by the council. We get 2 council members. The prior council member who was appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, was our former District 2 council member. Traditionally, mayors and city managers have actually done 1 from each side, 1 from the majority, 1 from the minority. For instance, prior to this council, it was Councilmember Doherty from the minority and Councilmember Bodnar from the majority. Unfortunately, after Councilmember, the former D2 councilmember resigned, I recommended our minority, because it's only Councilmember Gully and me, I recommended Councilmember Gully represent the council, and stating that the mayor has decided to go with 2 in the majority. So I am going to vote for Councilmember Parator. Unfortunately, disappointed that we didn't have a minority candidate, but it is what it is. So I will be voting in favor of this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 53 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
All right,
Resolution 31,
Resolution 31, yes.
resolution accepting the Troy City Dog Park recommendations report.
Thank you, Mara. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings. Do I have a second? Councilmember Gully. Discussion, Councilmember Cummings.
Yeah, as noted before, certainly really thankful for the work of the dog park committee. I think they really did push the ball forward on this project. This has been a desire in the city for a really long time, and I'm really thankful for the work that they did on this. They recommended a few spots in Prospect Park, prioritizing one, and as discussed at the finance meeting, it sounds like the Friends of Prospect Park have some other ideas about that location as well. That being said, I think the recommendations are nonetheless really important and useful for us to move forward. I think we do need to now involve the Friends of Prospect Park in an even more deeper way. My sense discussing with everybody on the committee and involved is that the Hale Street location is sort of ideal in many ways. Unfortunately, there's tremendous costs involved in clearing some of the construction debris that was left there after the Congress Street corridor replacement or project that replaced Congress Street or fixed Congress Street. And so that debris, we certainly want to work with various folks. I think no matter what, we don't want to leave that debris in the corner of the park forever. That being said, I don't necessarily want to see that hold up the progress of the dog park. So certainly support the recommendations and look forward to continuing to work with the public, the members of the group who want to stay involved, and the administration and the Friends of Prospect Park to make sure that we do eventually get a dog park in trouble.
Yeah, and just for folks who weren't at finance, it's important to know that first and foremost, these volunteers on the committee, as Councilmember December noted earlier, a couple are friends of mine, saying that they did fabulous work. And Laura, you really, you steered the ARC very, very well. It was, I can only imagine, very challenging because you have no money, you don't know own the land, and where can we put a dog park where it's going to be successful? Saying that, you did just a fabulous job. The volunteers put in countless hours, many meetings, and came up with recommendations. Just so folks are aware what happened at the May meeting, I received a phone call, and a couple other members did, from Peter Grimm, who's head of the Friends of Prospect Park, and he saw the recommendations and got concerned about one of the sites, saying that I truly believe that all of us working together can really solve this issue and have a real dog park here in the city that's successful. But it's going to take a partnership on behalf of the Friends Group. Our dog park committee, I know, is there, ready to work, ready to roll up their sleeves. Mayor, who will soon be deputy mayor again soon, will need you at the table. We will. We need planning at the table. We need Steve Strikeman, possibly Chris Whalen. I'm not sure if we absolutely need water lines or can do it without that. Saying that, it looks like Hale Street's being looked at the same time. I do know that the dog park committee really would like to maybe see a partnership at the site that they recommended. So saying all of that, the council is here. Councilmember Kennedy, you were not fortunate to be here when you were appointed as one of our folks to help spearhead the effort to work with all of these stakeholders in trying to keep their feet to the fire to get this done. So we would ask you and Councilmember Cummings to spearhead that effort on our behalf. We're here to help you. And I mean, honestly, we don't have a dog park in our city. We need one. I mean, it only makes sense. Saying that, thank you again, Laura. Thank you to the committee. By accepting the recommendations, it in no means that this is going to happen or that's not going to happen. This is accepting it, and now everyone needs to work together to put together an implementation plan with finances that makes sense with a timeline. So thank you again. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you
Resolution
again, Laura.
31 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Council
All right,
President?
yes, Councilmember
Are there any
Kennedy.
more items on
Council President, I have one more
Yes.
item. I will be very brief.
Yes.
Yesterday was May Day. It's an internationally known day for workers' rights all across the world. I know we've got to go. I have a draft resolution that I presented to the council prior to this meeting. Unfortunately, it didn't make it to get to the cut for this meeting, but I will be introducing it for our finance. Briefly, I just want to make sure people know that this is a really important day across the world to celebrate the honor and commemorate workers all over this country and including in this city, to commemorate the historical struggles of working people, and in particular the efforts of about 350,000 people on May 1st of 1886 who organized a National Work Stoppage Day, which led to the 8-hour workday, which is something we all can honor and value. And now that organized workforce was able to get these things done for something that we all benefit and enjoy from. In particular, the College Laundry Union and women workers in our city around the commercial laundries industry typically worked in the 19th century 12 to 14-hour days. So this is something that in that era
Really far.
was it's something that is recognized and hard fought victories happen to give us the benefits of what we enjoy today. So I will be introducing that at our next council meeting, and happy May Day, everybody.
Happy May Day, and I see our mayor
She's getting on
laughing, and
strike.
I'm laughing also because I know so many people such as us who do not have 8-hour work days. So I see Ken Crow back there too.
We have a
He
lot more
did
work to
it.
do.
Let's have a June day. Okay, thank you so much. We will now open out to our wonderful public who has a public forum, the final public forum. Would anyone like to come to the podium to talk about what's going on in your neighborhood? Feel free to come to the podium, name and address, please. Don't worry. Thank you. Yeah, don't be shy. You're here.
Oh, I'm not.
We're here as long as you're here. right?
Excellent. Hi- Excellent. Well, good to hear. My name is Zachary Cohen. I live at 46 3rd Street, and I'm here to discuss the parking situation.
If you could, sorry, you
Yeah,
could speak right into the mic.
You'll
Okay,
see,
you got it.
try pulling it up or take it right out. Yeah, beautiful.
How about
Thank
that?
you. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you, Zachary.
I've been a resident of downtown Troy for about 12 years, and the parking regulations and the enforcement has changed quite a bit in that time. And it's been a little unpredictable and a little bit at times unreasonable. And I've, dealt with it the best I could. I understand to live in a city and to have a vehicle in a city, it's going to cost money, so that's not the issue. But when the new parking meters were installed, I had a discussion with Monica down here, and she told me, "Oh, don't worry. We're going to let everyone know when they're going live. There's going to be solutions. There's going to be solutions. Don't be concerned." Okay, and I went onto the Troy website, and there was a letter saying basically that we'll let you know. There's not much more than that. And I put my faith in the fact that there would be a solution for residents, for employees of the downtown area. And then one day I go to my car, and this man next to me says, "Here's a pass. You're going to need this." And I was like blown away. "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, they're live today." Okay. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a million tickets. So I come back down and I have another discussion. And I guess the fundamental issue is that there's not enough available parking is what I've been told. That's basically it. And I started a campaign taking photographs of all the available parking on my block, on my surrounding blocks. I have a dog. I walk her every day. I got a ticket and I took a photo of all of these spaces wide open down the street. It was kind of difficult for me. And Since then, I've been very frustrated, as you might imagine. And since then, I started a petition, and I have the support of 190 people, all lots and lots of comments, basically feeling the same exact way, that there needs to be some kind of solution. Now, I understand the residential parking permit system is a difficult process. I understand Albany went through a long time with it, but I think there are other solutions. I definitely think there are ways that we can deal with this without having to take a very long time to find a solution. I brought this up many years ago to Bob Doherty. We had a discussion. I met with Elizabeth Young, and she had said that, and that was like 5 years ago. And it's a little disappointing. If we had started the process then, by now, we certainly would have had a viable solution, I believe. But it's incredibly frustrating that myself and my neighbors and my community and a lot of people I talk with on this issue, we're just moving south. We're moving east. Our vehicles are not. We're staying where we live. So we look out and there's plenty of parking spaces available, but we don't park there because of fear of tickets, violating municipal laws. And so we just congest another area of town. And it's very, very frustrating. And you should see, I mean, I would love to share this petition. You could see some of the, they're all very constructive. There's nothing disrespectful. There's nothing outlandish. It's all very much to the point. And I just don't understand what is Troy's plan, just to have parking meters and pay $1 an hour, $160 a month is what that amounts to. If you work in downtown Troy, too bad. If you don't work in the 9 to 5 bracket, which I don't, sorry, you'll have to pay. And then on top of that, the parking garages, that's pretty expensive as well. $65, $70 plus a 50+ waiting list, from my understanding. Last time I checked was just about a month ago. Just basically like that, I feel like I need to come up with a lot more money to have my vehicle in downtown Troy. And furthermore, it's difficult and it's hard not to take it personally because I don't leave and work at 8:30 to 4:30. You know, I work at night. And that's how it works for me. And plenty of other concerned citizens have been talking about that as well. There's a woman who's a nurse. She works the graveyard shift, and she's like frustrated that she's got to wake up after only, you know, when she gets home, only a couple hours sleep to her. She's got to get up and move her car or pay the meter. And supposedly there's an app available or will be available, but I have not seen that yet. And I've also heard of many issues with credit cards not working. I've talked to several people who have had that issue. So if they don't have loose change on them, they have to run the risk or park somewhere else. I've talked to business owners who say that they're trying to just run their business and they have to move and they're getting tickets. Several. It's just very, very disappointing, and it's difficult to navigate.
And Zachary, I was unaware of this situation. I came across, did you post something on one of the social media?
Yeah, my
I saw it.
petition.
Okay. Can you email that to us?
I would love to.
Okay. Why
City
don't,
Council at Troy.
and, yep.
Say that again?
City Council at troyny.gov will get to all of us.
Okay. City Council at troyny.gov.
I think it'd be very unfair to put Monica in the spot right here, but saying that this is not going to go unfollowed up. So we will follow up with you and try to figure out.
We've actually asked that to join the parking advisory committee to be able to come to the table and offer up some of the solutions.
We
So-
actually had a meeting. It was with Derek Turek, and we had a little committee. We had a meeting, and I appreciate the effort. We all aired our grievances, and we all spoke to,
But it's an ongoing.
we spoke as objectively, and we all had different perspectives on it, and I don't know. I mean,
I would
For-
be very frustrated also.
it's very frustrating. I mean, not only for residents, business owners are telling me that, a patron who normally could have 2 hours, let's just say in the old system, 2 hours to come and shop, now it costs them $1 or $2 extra. And for some people, I mean, it's only a small amount of money. I understand that. But for some people, this $2 coffee turned to $4 or whatever it is. And blah, blah, blah. And that seems to be an issue for some people. And then employees. Now you have the job that you've had. Suddenly it costs you a lot more money now to just work that job. And some of these kids don't make a lot of money. It's a car insurance payment. It's an electric bill. It's something else that suddenly, or run the risk of tickets, or park several blocks away. And that's also another thing. And meanwhile, the fundamental issue of no parking, I look out my front door, there's tons of parking. I mean, really, and the whole time I've lived there, probably count on two hands total the number of days I've had to find other parking outside of my block or the adjacent blocks. If it was if we were in Lancaster Street or J Street in Albany, and it's it has been packed since day one, you moved there, there's no questions, why, I would have nothing to say. But it's incredibly frustrating, and I've been talking about it, and anyway, I'm glad to be here and
I
finally
feel
say
for
something
you.
to you.
I feel for you. You could have contacted us, before tonight. Know that we are accessible. Your district council rep is, I believe, Councilmember Cummings, the at-large. But saying that, don't be afraid to contact us. You don't have to come down here, but we
I'm
thank you
happy
for
to.
coming here. We thank you. We will follow up with Monica and follow up with you. And I would ask, Monica, is the app in the works?
Yeah, we've been talking to the company about it. They actually have to create it, and there's another company in the garage apparently that is also interested in potentially partnering with us as well.
And credit cards, has there been a
There was-
super duper problem?
There was some of the credit card mechanics that needed to be replaced, so we ordered a whole bunch of them, and they were being replaced.
Okay. And, please don't feel that this goes upon deaf ears. It does not. Please email us and I'll give you a card. You can
That'd be great.
send it to my email also, and the city council email, which will go to our. Perfect. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
And I wonder, has there been any discussion of what might be a solution for residents or employees of the downtown area?
We're gonna have to talk to
Not-
Monica and.
not as-
I'm sorry.
That's what the committee and the advisory board is for.
Okay. Who's on the advisory, Monica?
I would have to find out from Dylan and Steve. They're running that one. But James Rath, I know, is on that as well too.
Okay. If you could get us a list, and I take it the advisory committee is working to iron out the issues or looking forward?
So they're looking forward. The issues now, a lot of them are equipment related, as well as some of the concerns that residents are bringing forward with us. So a lot of these concerns that the residents have, we want to look at the solutions and how to move forward. We realize that not everybody, we have people who, I mean, no disrespect to what Zach is saying, because we do hear that as well, but we also have business owners and residents who actually thank us for actually making the street available, because there's a large majority of employees who work in downtown, like say the Department of Law, all of the other offices that are down there, Department of Labor, who actually park on the street all day long and don't allow time for visitors and residents and other people coming in and out of the city to actually be able to sit on the street as well too. We do have availability in some of our parking lots. We have the Green Island parking lot is available, the 4th Street parking lot is available. Congress Street parking lot is available. So there is availability if somebody wants to pay the $60 a month for a permit to come in and get those. There are wait lists on others. We are taking an active look at utilization to see if we increase percentages out. But the parking advisory group that we pulled together in response to some of the concerns we heard was to create the solutions going forward so that we could take a look at some of these other pieces, some other areas that we can lighten up. We engaged our engineering firm to actually look at additional on-street parking that we can create throughout the downtown and central business district, as well as loading zones. There's a lot of issues in downtown in just relation to cars, right? Double parking, how frustrating is it in front of the Ruck when everybody double parks and you have to try to go around, or the buses. So there's all of these things. It's a collective piece to make the quality of life for transportation, pedestrians, and bikes for downtown.
Can I be added to that advisory group?
Council member Cummings.
You can email Steve.
Great, thank you.
And, go ahead, Zach.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I had a chance to call up the Parking Bureau of Albany, and what's frustrating about that is that for $20 a year, residents have their parking permit, and $20 a year, employees get their parking permit. Now, granted, it's a bigger city and there's a bigger issue, but even if you doubled that, even if you tripled that for a year,
Well,
we would be
let-
very happy to pay.
Let me ask Monica though, I wouldn't be able to vote on it obviously,
Speak
but
to this,
we could request, obviously, a resolution, a home rule for a residential parking permit area
I did
downtown.
do some
Yeah.
research into Albany's, and can speak to this a little bit. So from my understanding of Albany's parking permit, it did go back and forth with CSA for a while. It's a very different kind of neighborhood, and the state law that enabled it explicitly said it cannot be used in any neighborhoods with any commercial. It's only for purely residential
But that was
neighborhoods.
that home rule.
That was their home rule,
Right.
but that seemed like that was the line that the state was willing to grant. These public spaces belong to the public. And after a whole bunch of negotiation between the state and the city of Albany, they came to a compromise that said right around Albany Plaza, where they have the biggest impact from workers coming out, in purely residential neighborhoods, they can designate those spots to be only available to the residents of that neighborhood. Other than that, it would be not allowed. And I think the situation downtown is obviously very different. We first of all, don't
Right.
have that sort of influx of beyond the Department of Labor, and then who generally have spots in the garage that they supposedly their landlord owns, that they're supposed to be parking in. But then, more importantly, obviously, the spots that are in front of houses are also shared with businesses and everyone else. And so to designate those spots as to be used purely by a subgroup of residents violates the New York State Constitution.
Right. However, though, potentially if you reach out to Senator Breslin, Assemblyman McDonald, there may be a compromise in terms of home rule.
There was a home rule passed in 2015 at the local level, and it never went anywhere, I don't believe.
I mean,
So in 2015, they started this process, and then it never went anywhere.
I mean, if the council does want, and obviously I have to recuse myself, you could ask you could pass a resolution requesting state legislation be introduced. Then, once a bill was introduced, they come back and you can pass a resolution. But saying that, in the meantime, you're on the advisory committee, so that's a really good step. But please, follow up, and I'll certainly do anything to work with the administration and Anasha,
Yeah.
Councilmember Cummings.
I mean, and I appreciate that, and definitely passing the legislation would be a move in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I think there are other solutions. One that could be if we do get this app system going, which apparently is the plan.
Yeah.
I don't know, would it be possible to come down to City Hall, prove your proof of residence, pay your yearly fee, and then and put your license plate into a system, so when the officers scan license plates, they see that this license plate is valid for however long. And instead of having to have an official pass, it's like a local municipal system that I can't imagine would be difficult to introduce. I mean, that's something that I thought of. And also, on the committee, there's the survey and the statistical information that was used to create the new parking regulations. And Derek asked that we had a chance to read it. And of course, it's an extensive survey, but there were some very peculiar things. I mean, for one, the survey was of 370 people, residents, employees, commuters, everything. I mean, I think it's interesting that 370 people contributed to this, and that's a huge part of the information we use to go forward. And yet 190 people signed my petition saying they want the absolute aim, the goal of the petition is for some radical reform for residents and commuters and employees of the downtown area for some kind of permit. Overwhelming majority, I would say. And also there were interesting facts, like 61% of the people that were polled said that there's plenty of available parking in downtown. That was a factoid that I read in it, and I brought that up at our meeting, and I don't know, it didn't seem to go anywhere, but it's like this was a study used to supposedly create these new regulations, and then I'm reading some of these inconsistencies, and I'm not trying to make a fuss about it, but it's like, here, read this, and then I read it, and I'm like, well, that's interesting because it's kind of to my point, and you're like, well, okay, I don't know about all that.
Zach, thank you so much. for
Sure,
coming
I appreciate
down
it.
here. We will follow up with you.
Yes.
Please forward that ASAP. We'll also follow up with Monica to find out where the committee is and all that.
One
And-
more time with the address.
Yep.
Oh, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we'll
Thank
write
you.
it on the back of the card and I'll give you a card also, okay?
Thank you very
And
much.
I'm very, very sorry how frustrated you are,
Well,
but thank you for
thank you
coming
for your
down,
time.
and we'll move forward.
Thank you so
Okay?
much.
Thank you, Zachary. Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and address the council? Zach? Sorry, Eric? So
Hello.
sorry. Thank
Good
you.
evening. Eric Wisher, 30 Fairfield Road, President of Troy Uniform Firefighters, Local 86. We got some health and safety concerns for our membership. We wrote a letter. We would like it on public record. I'm going to read it to you, and I made you all a copy. The health and safety of our membership is paramount to us. We as an executive board are placing the city on notice that there are several safety issues that need to be addressed immediately. The concerns pose both short-term and long-term health and safety issues to our membership. First, the fire department's call volume has increased over 40% over the last few years, and this trend will likely continue with the development. With this demand on our services, we are not adequately staffed to handle all the department's calls. We currently cross-staff apparatus in the Lansingburg and Sickaway sections of the city. We feel that cross-staffing of any apparatus places an extreme health risk to the residents of these neighborhoods, along with the rest of the city and our membership. We're requesting that this practice be discontinued immediately. Second, recent research shows that contaminated turnout gear has a direct relation to increased cancer in firefighters. We currently only have one set of turnout gear per firefighter and no spare gear. Each time the members of the UFA are involved in a fire or an incident with unknown hazards, our gear becomes contaminated with carcinogens. We will continue to gamble with our lives until the spare gear is provided. To combat the deadly problem, we're requesting a set of spare gear for each member of our union. So when we have daytime fires or incidents, there's no way to clean the gear because you have to wear it the rest of the day. You go to a daytime fire, we just had another one since last meeting. You have to wear that gear the rest of the day. It's contaminated with carcinogens. It's soaking wet. Yes.
Hold on, go finish, Eric.
I'm
and then
go
we'll
ahead.
get to-
Yeah,
Go ahead, council member.
There's an existing lottery system for getting a new set of gear or lottery system. Okay, I'll take the floor. But do you propose expanding the existing lottery system at all?
There's a lottery system based on when you're hired. The gear's good for 10 years and it expires. I believe there's a little over 40 guys just got new turnout gear that they were wearing gear that was expired 1 year and 3 months ago.
So is there a way to marginally increase the existing lottery system?
That's up to the chief, but when you have a fire, I mean, even in the instance of somebody working overtime or safety staff in the second day, there's not time to clean the gear in the process that it takes to do it and for it to be able to dry. There's no dryers, you know what I mean? So to wear wet gear, there's an increased risk of scald burns also.
Yeah, my thought is that if there's an existing lottery system for a second set of gear, that maybe a first step in the right direction would be to expand the existing lottery system to offer maybe every 5 years to a certain amount of people who haven't had it. But I think that should be explored before we look at giving all members a second
Well, I think what it costs for a second set of gear, you would pay out one cancer cost through the health insurance for a member.
Yeah.
Those bills are usually in the $800 or $1 million plus neighborhood when somebody comes down with cancer. It costs you about $330,000 to get everybody a second set of gear.
That was my question. So
City-
Eric, to get a second set of gear, you're talking 330?
In that neighborhood, yep. City of Schenectady bought their members second set of gear. City of Watervliet has a second set of gear. City of Kingston just bought their members a second set of gear.
Eric, very quick, Eric McMahon, I know that you're awesome with grants.
Mhm.
Are there any grant funding? I had thought that there was federal funding for something like this possibly. is there?
They can try and write a grant for it, but that's time, you know what I mean? The
Sure.
process, it would be a year, year and a
Well,
half.
could be reimbursement, I'm saying,
Sure.
if we fronted the money somehow.
That's possible. I mean, you'd have to look at the language of the grant.
Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
We had some discussions about applying for a grant. There are communities throughout the United, it's a very competitive grant process. There are communities throughout the United States that their gear does not fall within compliance. Everyone in the Troy Fire Department, their gear is compliant. Therefore, we go to the bottom of the list if we ask for extra stuff. The assistance to firefighter grant is to bring departments up to minimal compliance. There are things that we can apply for in the grant, but with the turnout gear, I think that we're out of the ballpark on that.
Okay, so for the turnout gear, you're saying now, how many guys, because we're hoping to get a woman out soon again,
Mhm.
but how many guys right now is it expired?
None now.
Okay.
We just got it within the last day I worked, I got mine.
All right, so now moving forward.
So now moving forward, when you have daytime fires, you have no ability to clean the gear until the next day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how long does it take to clean the gear? Eric?
It's about an hour process for the washing, and then it has to hang dry,
And who does that?
and then it has to be reassembled. They have a gear, the chief, we've been working with him. He's got a process going with a guy that comes in on the next day and gathers up everybody's gear from every firehouse, brings it downtown, because we only have one washer, and they wash it down there, then they redistribute it back to the firehouses. It hang dries until, hopefully you don't need it on your opposite day for recall or overtime, but by your next work day, then you got to come in and reassemble it. Coats have harnesses, pants have harnesses, they have to be reassembled.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, with all due respect, I would just ask to follow up. Send all the concerns to the city council email, the letter.
I got you each a hand letter with my business card in there. Anybody wants to call and talk about it, we're more than happy to discuss it.
Eric, I want to, as always, thank you, the
Mhm.
chief, everything, all of you for your service, your EMTs,
Mhm.
second to none, you know that. So
Mhm.
we're here, public safety, and obviously to provide your folks with the appropriate tools,
Mhm.
the equipment, and the resources to do their job effectively, more
Mhm.
importantly, safely.
Okay.
So I want you to know, I take this very serious. I can't speak for the other council members, I'm sure they do too.
Mhm.
If you could give us a copy.
Yep.
And we will follow up, and maybe Councilmember December could also have a public safety meeting.
Okay. Yep.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilmember Kennedy,
is public forum closed?
we shall see. Would anyone else like to address the council? All right. Thank you very, very much, everyone who came this evening. And on that note, I will take a. Oh, I'm sorry.
I, through everyone speaking tonight, I felt compelled with, I know we all agreed not to untable the sanctuary resolution, but I'm at a point where I feel like I am ready to vote. If there's anybody else here that feels like they're ready to vote, I would be willing to untable it, and if there's a second to the motion.
I would really just ask, I think that's very unfair to the public, the folks who left this evening. We have finished our business, we're in the public forum section, and I'll take a motion too, Jared.
Motion.
Motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?